Let's have a conversation. Tell me what you think about the issues of the world. What kind of spice you wanna be? Tell me where you wanna travel. Do you believe in luxury? What's your hidden passion? What makes you so unique? Conversations with Nicole. Conversations with Nicole. Conversations with Nicole. Conversations with Nicole.
Lee, you refer to yourself as a lifer,
I do.
and what does that mean?
Well, to me, it means Boys and Girls Clubs is generally the only thing that I've ever known and done in terms of a career. I was a club kid way back many, many years ago when it was just boys clubs in community Bristol, Virginia, Southwest Virginia. And the club was our home away from home. It was our outlet, a place that was very positive when my mother was working multiple jobs, and the club was the place to go where she knew that we were well cared and provided for, and so she didn't have to worry about us. And it just stuck with me. I got introduced to some great role models and individuals that still remain very instrumental in my life. And so it's really, once I graduated high school, went on to college, and when I got out of college, one of those role models was in a very prominent role with Boys and Girls Clubs of America. And he said, send me the resume. I did. One thing led to another, and so it's really the only thing that I've known and done for pretty much all my life.
Okay, lifer.
This type of work.
I love it. Love it.
So this is, there's no better way to give back, to try to provide the influences in the life of children that were afforded me.
Okay. Welcome to Conversations with Nicole. I am Nicole Everett, your host, and we are at the Boys and Girls Club of the Big Bend. And today my very special guest is Mr. Lee Wagner. Welcome, Lee.
Thank you for having me. Good afternoon, and welcome to you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us. So we are housed here, you're housed here at NIMS Middle School here in Tallahassee, Florida.
We are.
And you've been in Tallahassee for how long?
Been here for a little over 4 years now. Came down July 14th, 2014, so just celebrated the 4-year anniversary.
Well, congratulations, and serving as executive director.
I am most days.
Most days,
yes,
okay,
yes.
All right. And you are from Virginia originally.
I am. Grew up in a little community, Bristol, Virginia, about 100 miles north of Knoxville, Tennessee.
Okay,
Yes.
all right. And after leaving Bristol, you went on to
Went
where?
on to college, East Tennessee State University, got a degree in education. Thought I was going to become a school teacher.
Okay.
And got sidetracked a little bit by Boys and Girls Clubs, and almost 30 years later, we're still in Boys and Girls Clubs.
Still in
so
Boys
we
and
must be
Girls
doing
Club.
something right.
Must be. All right. So married and
Married for, as a matter of fact, last week my wife and I celebrated our 33rd anniversary.
happy anniversary.
Thank you,
Uh-huh.
thank you. And have three children and several grandchildren.
Okay.
Yes. So.
Wonderful, wonderful. So been in Tallahassee, you said, what, 4 years?
4 years.
4 years. And you came to do
Well,
what with the club?
Well, I came to get the Boys and Girls Clubs of the Big Bend back on track.
Okay.
Obviously, as it's well documented, we have had some issues in our history, our 25-year history. As a matter of fact, last year we just celebrated 25 years of service to youth in this community. And so we've had some hard times, but I am pleased to share with you and your wonderful audience that we are moving in the right direction, and we are slowly but surely getting some of those challenges behind us.
That's good. That's good to know. I'm going to come back there, but I
Okay.
want you to just kind of briefly tell us what the Boys and Girls Club is and does.
Well, we are a nonprofit organization that specializes in taking kids that more often than not are at risk. And that's not always the case, although I feel that every child, regardless of their circumstances, has some at-risk exposure. And so how do we take those kids that need us the most and help them to get on the right track or stay on the right track to ultimately become productive citizens?
Right.
Productive citizens that graduate high school and graduate high school with a plan for their future. That plan could be college, it could be military, or it could be vocational or technical school.
Mm-hmm.
But some sort of plan that will allow them to become successful adults that get back to society and are able to sustain a family or themselves.
Okay.
Just to be good citizens.
Good deal. So approximately how many children do you service each year?
Well, we have here in Boys and Girls Clubs of the Big Bend, we have 7 clubs, 4 in Leon County and 3 in Gaston County. And collectively, at the end of the year, we'll serve approximately 1,100 kids. And so that translates to about 300 kids a day during the after-school program, and about 275 or so on a daily basis during the summer.
Okay.
So we feel like we have a very big impact in terms of the kids that we serve.
Gotcha. Okay, so at one time there were about 17 clubs in this area.
Yes, that's correct. And that was before my time, but the history of the organization says that those clubs the organization had to downsize. Really, that was the starting point of some of the financial challenges that we encountered. Mm-hmm. And so we downsized. Unfortunately, had to close a few clubs and try to weather that storm. And we're coming through it.
Okay.
We're coming through it.
That's good to hear. That's
Yes.
good to hear.
Yes. As a matter of fact, we've opened, since I've been here, and again, that 4-year period, we've opened about two new clubs.
Okay.
And we'll be, have our eye on a 3rd club later this fall.
Well, that's exciting.
Yes.
That's exciting. Well, hopefully we'll hear more about that soon.
Yes, hope
All
so.
right. Now, is there a fee for the youth to participate?
Well, we do have a fee structure. We charge, or we ask our kids to pay a whopping $10 per year. That's our membership fee.
Okay.
And then we do have, for those children and those families that can afford it, we do have a fee structure of $35 a month during the after-school program and $35 a week during the summer program. But if any child that comes to us and says that, we can't afford that or I don't have it, not a problem. We welcome them in, and we don't make any, we don't do anything to try to get that money. We'll pursue funding to cover those expenses through some of our very generous donors and other funding sources.
Okay.
So money will never be a deterrent to us providing services to a child.
Wow, that's great. Y'all heard that. Money
lack
of
of
money will never be a deterrent. I like
That's right.
that. I like that. Now, do you have the capacity to serve more youth?
We do, and we're trying to manage our growth. We want to be very responsible in our growth, meaning that any growth that we take on, whether it be a new club or expanding services in an existing club, we want to make sure that we can sustain it. The last thing that we want to have happen is to get kids excited, get the community excited, and then some point in time down the road, we have to decrease those services because we can't sustain it. And so that's been a good approach that's worked for us.
Okay. Have you ever had to turn any kids away?
No, we haven't. We haven't to this point. At least none that I can remember. Let's put it like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Now, sometimes we do put a cap on our enrollment during the summer, but typically we stay within that range without having to turn anyone away.
That's great.
So that hasn't been too much of a problem.
Every stunt, every shot, every rep, every strike, every hit, every kick, every spike. From first down to first place, every tag counts. When you buy a professional team license tag, every purchase supports the designated team's youth charity programs and promotes youth in major sporting events in Florida. Find out more information at playinflorida.com.
We are Cumulus Broadcasting Tallahassee, the power of radio. Proud sponsor of Conversations with Nicole, connecting the community through conversations.
So let's talk about some of your core program areas. What are those?
Well, Boys and Girls Clubs of America does an outstanding job of helping local clubs identify needs and come up with programs that address those different needs. And we do that in a structure that we refer to as core program areas. We feel like our core program areas, which is education and career development, character and leadership development, the arts, sports, fitness, and recreation, and I'm missing
the
one.
fifth one is escaping you, right?
I'm missing one. Yeah,
That's all right. It'll come back.
to me.
It'll come back.
But we feel like if we can expose kids to a variety of programs and opportunities within those 5 core program areas, that will go a long way in helping them to become productive citizens.
Excellent.
And so mainly, almost every program that we implement will fall within one of those 5 core program areas.
Okay. And how do you assess whether or not you are doing well in within those areas?
Well, we on a daily basis, quarterly basis, we monitor the kids. We try to keep up with how well they are behaving in school. We certainly keep up with their academics, and I'm proud to share the fact that over the 3-year period, better than 95% of our kids that come to us on a regular basis get promoted to the next grade level. And so that's something that we are very, very adamant about happening, is making sure that our kids do well academically. Mm-hmm. And we funnel a lot of our resources to that particular program to ensure that those kids have success academically. And so, we monitor teen pregnancy, we monitor, juvenile delinquency. We try to just keep our thumb on the pulse of the community and how our kids are doing by monitoring their behavior and how well they're performing at school.
Okay.
That's important to us. And so obviously we have to have good relationships with local schools, the community, parents, and we just feel like it's a team effort to stay on top of some of the issues and making sure that our kids don't fall through the cracks. Okay. Now, we can't save them all. We certainly understand that, but we certainly try to save as many of them as we can.
Okay. Excellent. I know that can be a little bit of a challenge, trying to keep up with all of that. But.
Yeah, and especially, one thing that we've noticed is, again, with the restructuring that took place with the organization several years ago, that allowed us to establish a great partnership with Leon County Schools. We lost a lot of our team members. We don't serve a lot or as many of our 16, 17, 18-year-olds as we would like. So we're trying to reach out and rekindle relationships with that age child as much as possible.
Gotcha. Okay. So that would be one of the needs that you all have.
That is certainly a need. Okay. And we have to keep in mind too that ideally those kids are working, they're getting ready for college, and so we understand that Boys and Girls Club may not be something that they can fit in on a daily basis, exactly. But at least stop in and see us once a week or so that we can see how you're doing.
Okay, good. Well, besides finances and the need to have more the older teens participate, what are some of your other needs? Well,
we always can use more volunteers, more mentors. Mentoring is very, very important, and mentoring a child, spending time with a child, developing a relationship with a child goes a long way in helping them to become successful individuals. And then studies have told us that mentoring is good for the mentor as well as the mentee. And so it's a win-win opportunity. And so mentoring tutors are at the top of that list.
I know financial resources can be a challenge.
Yeah.
What impact has this conservative political climate had on your organization?
Well, it has posed some challenges. It's forced us to sort of expand our ratios a little bit. We try to keep our staff to club member ratio within a certain limit, and we've had to exceed that just a little bit. And quite frankly, the biggest impact is if you look at our admin staff, now everyone's having to wear multiple hats just to get the job done.
That's the life of a nonprofit, isn't it?
It is. It is. Instead of wearing 2 hats, you might have to wear 4 or 5 hats.
Yes.
But, you got to do what you got to do to make it work.
So that means that fundraising is a big thing
Fundraising
that you
is
have to be
always
involved
a
in,
top
right?
priority,
Yes.
and it really takes a team effort. And we have a wonderful board of directors, and our board is engaged in the organization and really helps support our staff or our admin staff to identify much needed funds to sustain the programs.
Okay, now you have a big fundraiser coming up.
We do.
Your annual
We do.
steak and
We do.
burgers.
We have our annual steak and burger dinner coming up on Saturday, August 25th. And this is our marquee fundraising event that we have every year. And we're so excited to have Coach Mike Martin with the FSU baseball team to come in as our guest speaker. And Coach Martin, as he recently shared, this is his 40th and final season at the helm of FSU baseball, and we're glad to be a part of his, what we're calling, these are not his words, we're calling his retirement tour.
Oh.
And so we are excited about the evening, and the steak and burger dinner is basically, it's an evening where our local community, our business partners come in, they sponsor tables, and they just have dinner with our club kids. Each table will consist of 6 adults, and they'll be joined at the table by 2 of our wonderful club kids, and they can just have a great dinner and get to know one another and find out about all the great things that take place at the Boys and Girls Club. And then the kids are very interested in what the adults do for a career, and learning about them and their family, their hobbies. So it's a great opportunity to learn about one another. The unique thing about the event is our kids eat the steaks and the adults eat the hamburgers.
I was just getting ready to ask you that.
Yes.
Why is it called steak and burger? Who gets the steak and who gets the
Kids
burger?
get the steak, but there's some kids that would much rather have the hamburgers.
Of course.
Staying within that comfort zone, of course, yes. Yes. So we look forward to a great evening, and it's a great event. We'll have a silent auction that's a part of the event as well. And so, again, those funds are very important to sustaining what we do.
Okay.
Yes.
Excellent. Excellent.
We do.
Well,
And we still have plenty of seats available if anyone wants to purchase a table, or individual seats for $125. Sponsorships are typically at $500 increments, 500,000, 2,000, or 2,500, and so forth.
okay.
and so
Well,
on.
we'll get that information up too.
Okay,
Okay.
great.
Very good. Now, you have worked professionally for Boys and Girls Club for many years in Atlanta, in Macon, in Thomasville.
I have.
What has caused you to make this a life profession?
Well, again, it's important. I just readily recall the influence that individuals had in my life to keep me on the right path. Individuals that were instrumental in helping me, with my character, becoming a person of high character, my morals and values, and those are important. And so this is a great opportunity for me to give back to kids of today here in Tallahassee the opportunities that were afforded me as a child in Southwest Virginia.
Okay. Now, do you find that you're serving more boys or more girls?
Well, believe it or not, it's almost 50-50.
Is it
You know,
really?
We do a huge annual report to Boys and Girls Clubs of America. And of course, we share that data with local funding sources as well. And it's pretty even.
I'm surprised. I really would have thought it would have
There's
been more.
only like maybe a 3 or 4% difference.
Okay. I would have thought it would have been more girls. Yeah. Okay.
Now, if you, again, looking at our 7 clubs, there may be 1 or 2 clubs where females dominate the males, but collectively, it's pretty even.
Okay.
Every stunt, every shot, every rep, every strike, every hit, every kick, every spike. From first down to first place, every tag counts. When you buy a professional team license tag, every purchase supports the designated team's youth charity programs and promotes youth in major sporting events in Florida. Find out more information at playinflorida.com.
So tell me about a youth that you specifically dealt with at the club that has gone on to be a productive, caring, and responsible citizen.
Well, we have a lot of kids that, and again, when I answer that question, I'm obviously reflecting back over a 30-year span, not specifically as it pertains to time here in Tallahassee. And fortunately, most of my time is spent pushing paper.
Right.
And so
As an administrator.
That's the downside to being an administrator. I don't get the time to interact with the kids that I would really love to have. But you know, there are several kids that have I've developed a great relationship with over the years. You know, I spent 12, almost 13 years in Thomasville. The unique thing about the Thomasville experience was I was able to build that organization from the ground up.
So a brand new club.
It didn't exist when I rode into town, and so I had a chance to put my stamp on it. And again, when I say that, it was obviously a community effort, but just being able to see those kids now, and believe it or not, a lot of those kids still recognize me. And you know, I could be in Walmart or just out and about in the community, and kids that I haven't seen in maybe 10 years still recognize me.
That's got to make you feel good.
Oh, that's what you do it for. That's what it's all about. And you know, one of the things that we have to understand as club professionals is the payoff, the reward is not immediate. A lot of times you don't even see it until 5, 10 years down the road, when kids come back and say, if it hadn't been for you, I might not be doing, you know, X, Y, Z, whatever it may be. You know, it's just typically positive things that they're now doing because of the influence that we had in their lives.
Wow, that's great. So what's the best advice you've either given or received?
Best advice is, well, my motto tends to be do unto others as you would have others do unto you, and I try to practice that as much as possible. But you know, just be sincere and dedicated to what you're trying to do.
That's a good one.
You know, you have to be, and you know, I want to make sure that the community understands how important it is to try to make a difference in the lives of the kids in this community, because we sometimes forget that, you know, these kids are going to be the future leaders of this community and other you know, local communities and maybe of the nation. And so we've got to pour into them now all that we can to help them become productive. And you know, you hear a lot about the problems on the South Side, but it's not just a South Side issue, it's a community issue. Because what happens on the South Side, one way or the other, will affect the North Side and other parts of the community.
It sure does.
We have to work together collectively to get the issues addressed and resolved.
Absolutely. I think that's an excellent point.
Yes.
Because what happens to the least of these happens to us all.
Exactly. And I was really glad to hear, I didn't attend the chamber conference this past weekend, but in reading the Democrat and getting a recap, I was glad to hear that some conversation was had about some of the issues in the South Side. And again, the more light that we can shed on those issues and come to the table with some solutions, the better off the community is going to be.
Absolutely.
And so, and we're very excited to be here on the South Side where the need is greatest, and we want to be and remain at the forefront in trying to come up with solutions to address the problems.
Okay. What or who inspires you?
Well, again, I'm a man of faith, and every day on the road to the office and back home, I say my prayer and just turn everything over to the good Lord above. And then I'm always inspired by my mother, who again had to work multiple jobs to make ends meet. That single parent mother, head of household scenario. We grew up in public housing, and so I'm afraid to fail because again, I want to be the inspiration to my children and my grandchildren, and so failure is not an option because they're counting on me.
Sounds great. And it sounds like you're doing an outstanding job.
Well, we try. We sometimes, some days are a challenge, and sometimes you feel like you're taking 2 steps backwards for every step forward. But at the end of the day, again, over this 4-year period, we've made a lot of progress. We're excited about the future, but we do need the at-large community to come on board with us. And again, as I tell people, we love your checks, but it's not always about the checks. It's about the awareness and the influence that you bring to the table to help us get the word out and roll up the sleeves to help us make a difference.
Okay, sounds good. In closing, besides expanding to another club, what's your vision for the Boys and Girls Club of the Big Bend?
My vision for the Boys and Girls Clubs of the Big Bend is to be recognized as one of the premier nonprofits in the community. And when I say that, I mean that our kids are being successful, we can demonstrate that, and there's no question as to the impact that we're making to change the life of a child.
All right. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to talk with me today, and thank you for having us here.
Well, thank you for being here, and the door is always open. We can do this every week if you'd like.
Okay, y'all heard that. Lee has invited us back anytime.
And bring some friends with you.
Bring some friends.
But thank you. And, again, it's all about awareness.
Okay.
And this certainly will help.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for joining us on Conversations with Nicole, where we're connecting the community through conversations. We'll see you next time.